Welcome everyone, this is Pablo from Style Systems, your image consultant. For more information, go to stylesystems.net. So I've been wanting to make this video for a long time, and without any further ado, I'm just gonna jump right into it. How to talk about yourself without being arrogant. This is one of the topics that many people fail to realize that it has to do with your image as well. Because if you become arrogant, if you just talk about yourself, then you will become this type of person that no one wants to hang around with. You know, it's not just looking sharp, it's not just about the quality of your clothes, how expensive they are and whatever. It's also how you treat others, how you treat yourself, how you move, how you talk, and how you talk about yourself. So, you know, everyone is so proud or should be proud about what they do and what they own. This is something good. I want you to strip away from this thought that it is bad to talk about yourself because of some religious thing, or because of you're not being humble. You know, I don't see enough people talking about their winnings, and I don't see enough people talking about what they're proud of. Most people, they're only focusing on what they don't have, and because they have this false belief and wrong interpretation of being humble, they just, they never talk about themselves, and they go past unnoticed, and then they just hear how others are winning, and then that's not what it is. And then on the other hand, we have people that they only talk about what they're proud of, but they become very arrogant. They become repetitive and arrogant because they talk about it in such a way that it's violating the social code and social norms. So this is something that I like to call classic communication. And through classic communication, your image will get improved as well. People, start looking at you not even because of the way that you talk, or not even because of the way that you move, or the way that you dress yourself. You start to create a reputation, and once you create a reputation, boom, then your image just sticks in the mind of others. You become undeniable, you become unstoppable, you become memorable, and this is exactly what you want to do. So let's jump right into it. How to talk about yourself without being arrogant. The first tip that I want to give you is let evidence talk for you, okay? You don't have to explain what you're doing. You should not be randomly talking about, hey, what's going on? My name is Pablo, and I'm the god of style, and I'm a business owner, and I'm the shit. People are gonna be like, what the fuck? I mean, you are not savvy. You don't know how to talk. You don't know how to be intelligent socially. You know what I'm saying? It's breaking the norms of social interactions. That's not good for business, for relationships, for anything. So let evidence talk for yourself. For example, if you are on a networking event and you see someone who clearly stands out because he has a big ass mustache or a pink suit or something that stands out, which by the way must be congruent with his essence, you see him and the evidence talks for himself. Or let's say that you just bought a new car. You don't have to bring everyone and be like, hey, I just got a new car, or post that on fucking Facebook and social media. No, maybe you take a new picture with your car, like on the background. You don't make the whole story on the car. You have to play it classy. You have to have some taste, some class with it. So let evidence talk for yourself. That's the best way, and then people will ask you about it. And it's good once you start talking about yourself, and once you start, showing off a little bit your winnings and whatever it is that you're doing. It's good for yourself. It's good because you've invested into yourself. You've invested money, time, effort. You've been doing certain things that it's okay every now and then to just voice it out. Because that's the way that you can connect with other people, and also that's the way you become a winner. Losers talk about about how they lose. Winners talk about how they're winning and how they keep winning. Do you want to know why they keep winning? Because they keep focusing on their winnings, and they keep talking about it, and it's like their subconscious mind just gets programmed to just look more for it, okay? The next part is talk about yourself and brag about certain stuff, or shine away with irrelevant stories. You want to let others know and show off a little bit, but not very directly. You must do it indirectly. Now, this actually is part 1 and part 2, okay? This is like the part 1 is, it's better if you have someone with you that can back up the evidence and they can back up the story that you're telling. So for example, the other day I was in Italy and I was talking with this friend because I was working with a client, right? And we were there, having a dinner with one of inside of the parliament, and we were there, just talking about the importance of fashion. It was so different. Like, god damn it, the difference between how Americans dress themselves and how they dress themselves. And I just asked them, is it something in the water, or is it because you eat pasta every day? Like, is it something relevant, man? I just made that up. It has to be relative to you, of course. You have to be able to back it up. If you have someone who can back it up, for example, I just told you that I met someone in the parliament of Italy. So I'm telling you that I can travel and I know important people. I'm not telling you, hey, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? Do you know the money that I have? Do you know the freedom that I have? I'm not gonna show off in that way. I'm gonna tell you a story. And if I have a friend that I can back it up, that I'm not just making shit up. Like, yeah, we were actually in Italy, and this motherfucker actually knows the president and someone in the parliament. Like someone inside of the government. So have someone who can back it up, and have someone who is socially savvy enough to bring up certain things that will make you look good, and you will do the same thing for that person as well, for your friend as well. So they're talking about books. I happen to have 7 different books. I'm an author, self-published author. So, maybe your friends start talking. Is anybody reading it? Or I read this new book. And I was, it's based of a movie, and we're talking about this and that. And then you ask them, is anybody reading a new book? I always try to read new books every 2 months. And then your friend can say, well, I'm reading your book, I know that you just published a new book. Oh, there you go. Then you start bragging about your new books, and you start bragging about yourself, but without sounding cocky, without being arrogant. So the next part, of course, is just, if you don't have a friend with you, is talk about it with irrelevant stories. Like the same example that I just gave you, but you just randomly, like just out of nowhere, out of the blue, you just happen to throw in certain things that talk about you, but without making an emphasis on that. So without making an emphasis of me being a self-published author or being an image consultant, I talk about fashion. People start talking about fashion. I start, asking random questions about fashion, and I start talking about it, and I don't know, randomly, I make up a story, and then I start talking about it, and something that is irrelevant to what I want to brag about, then it's like, in the minds of the other people, it's like, wait a second, you talk a lot about fashion. Like, why do you talk a lot about fashion? Like, you studied fashion? You wanna let them be intrigued in the story that you're telling. That actually demonstrates a higher value. That demonstrates that you have value to offer. Simply like that. Simply put it, you are not just some random schmuck, average person that they just met. Become very good at telling stories. One way of getting good at telling stories is watching a lot of videos, watching a lot of movies, and of course reading a bunch of books. The more you read, the more you're training your brain and your mind to get good at telling stories, to make them interesting. And then while you're telling that story, something that is irrelevant, you want to throw in a little sprinkle of your success, a little sprinkle of your winnings and how you keep growing. And then that's a way of bragging without being arrogant. Also, another thing that I want you to be extra aware of is where and with whom you are going to brag about. For example, you may be bragging about your new car. You just bought a new car and you're telling a story and everything, but maybe you're talking about a new car in front of someone who just lost a beloved one in a car crash. You don't want to be a stupid motherfucker talking about that shit, right? You have to be extra careful. You want to analyze the situations. You analyze them based on what they're wearing, based on how they talk, based on their body language, based on their expressions. And of course, do your research before you. I always tell you guys that you must know your audience. Your audience is not always just your in marketing. If you're attending a party, you must know a little bit of the background of the people. What do they do? Try your best. Try to get to know them before you actually get them. Just to see what type of environment, what type of ambience you will be getting into. And of course, if you just bought a new car, but then your friend that just invited you to a party lets you know, hey, by the way, don't talk about your new car because he just lost his father on a car accident, then you will not be talking about it, right? So pay attention to the situation, to the environment, and to the people that you're talking to. Another thing that I want you to be aware of is also, throw in little, praises for the other person, for your audience as well. If you become very good at analyzing them, then you tell them, you let them know. For example, me being an image consultant, of course, I want to bring up the subject of fashion all the time because I want to have new customers. I'm prospecting. I want to let them know that I'm an image consultant, that I am a freelancer. I work for myself. I have my own business, and that's fucking good. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it because I this is my baby. I made it since day one, and I've watched it grow and blah blah blah. Okay, but if you are alone or if you're someone, complement each other. You want to open up the channels of communication by complimenting them on something. So if I want to talk about fashion, I tell them, oh, by the way, that's a great color for you. And you don't even have to look at them a lot. Get good at body language as well. That's a great color for you. So by the way, I was just letting it reminded me of this story one day that I was with this customer. We were on a mall and we were trying to figure out what suit to buy for him, because he had this crazy event and he was gonna speak in front of 20,000 people, and it was fucking crazy. So I told him a little bit of this color that actually you're wearing, and it's great color because it's something like that. Get good at telling stories. The way that I started is I started telling stories in front of the mirror to see if I looked awkward, to see if I looked like I'm full of shit, and to see how I was telling it, and then I recorded myself as well. Get in front of the camera, record yourself. You don't have to put it in the media, in the social media out there. Just do it for yourself, and then you become better at being aware of the little things that you do. Where do you look? Remember, if you look to the left, you are remembering. If you look to the right, you are creating. So maybe the subconscious interprets that if you look too much to the right, or you lean too much to the right, maybe you're making shit up. If you look to the left and up and down and different things, you gotta get good at this stuff. Of course, compliment the other person, and then that opens up the chance of communication for the other person to compliment you as well. And that's a way of start bragging about your winnings and your accomplishment without being arrogant. I could keep going and going and going, but I don't want to make a huge video out of this. So with that, I'm going to leave you. Keep sending me your questions, keep sending me your video requests. Become the best version of yourself, and I will see you on the next one.